Now, if you're doing a wash, let's see, what do I want to paint? I don't want to paint a traditional, I do want to paint a landscape, but I don't want to use my traditional colors. Let's use some different colors. Let's say, I don't know, maybe we're going to do sunset or the golden hour, because I already have some red here and some purple. So let me just show you this. I'm going to use a big brush, a big soft brush for my background, for my wash. Those round brushes are really good. The puffy ones that look like the makeup brushes, those are really good for big washes. So I've got my water here. Let me just put it here so I can just show you real quick. All I'm going to do is just add some water in there. How much? I don't know. The more water you add to your watercolor, the lighter it's going to be on your paper. The more translucent it's going to be. So see, I did not have to do anything. All I had to do was add water to that dried up paint. Dried up watercolor is still your friend because all you have to do is add water and reconstitute it. All right, now I know right now I'm going to do a background, and this is too red for my background. I know this. How do I know? Because I just know. And I also want I think I want some orange to get that golden hour. I don't know, I might use a little bit of that. This is, and these are really old, but it's cadmium yellow. It looks like cadmium orange, but it's actually cadmium yellow. I hope it's not dried out. Yeah, it's dried out. So if you get a tube that's dried out, what can you do? Well, you can break open the tube like that. Pour some of those little crumbs out and just add water. So the good thing about watercolor is even if it dries out, you can still use it. And I see why it was dried out. There's a hole in my tube and I didn't even see that. All right, so, or you can break off little pieces. All right, so I got a little bit in there. I'm gonna get, either I'm gonna clean this brush or I'm gonna get another brush. So I might get another brush because I wanna use some of that red. So I'm just gonna add some water, some fresh, clean water to my cadmium yellow here. You might wanna let that sit. See, I can still use that. I don't wanna get in the light too much where you can't see. I can still use this. I totally can use that. Dried up watercolor, it can still be used. Don't throw it away. Dried up acrylic cannot be used anymore because it's got that epoxy, that polymer in there. It's like rubber. It's like liquid rubber. And when it dries, it's permanent. So what do I want to do? I want to add some more water to this because this is too red right now. So what am I going to do? I'm going to leave that. I'm going to take my water and I'm going to add some more water. Now, I still think that's too much pigment. I got a lot of water in my brush. I've loaded my brush with water. We don't know what this is going to look like, so let's just try it. All right. My brush is technically dripping. So I'm just going to come and do like a wet on dry. The paper is dry. The brush is wet. All right, I need way more water on my brush. This is called a wash. Flat brushes aren't the greatest to do a wash with. You probably want a round, fluffy brush that looks like a makeup brush. You see what I'm doing? I'm just doing sky here. All right, I want some of that yellow now. And be careful because I didn't add a lot of water, so it's going to be, yeah, that's too yellow. So if I do it quick, add water quick. Spread it out. Wet on wet, you can spread that wash out. This is my background. I'm doing this first. I don't want to blend it all the way because I want it to look like the sun is setting and it's, get my fingers off of there, and it's red in certain areas, rosy in certain areas, but you do want to blend because however it looks when it's wet, that's how it's going to dry. If you see an edge when it's wet, it's going to be an edge when it dries. I want a little bit more pink down at the bottom. Why? Because I don't know. I just do. All right, I got to work fast. All right, that's too red. So I'm going to, if it's too red, and see there was a piece of paint that was not quite dissolved, get some water quick while it's wet. Add more water and spread. Add more water and spread. Add more water and spread. This is a wash. So this is my background. So I'm going to let a lot of this dry because I don't want to add anything down at the bottom yet because that's too wet. So I can work on the sky while this is drying. See how that made some streaks in there? That's why the watercolor paper is so thick, so you can scrub it. Now this is even bending. The paper, this is 98 pounds and it's bending. So I'm going to clean my brush more. I got some paper towels nearby handy. Get excess water out of your brush if you need to. I want that to be a little bit more blended here. So I'm just going to just brush with water in it with nothing. If I want more yellow in there, I can add more yellow. You could also put like a towel underneath your paper or a paper towel up underneath your paper. You could do that to get those edges, to keep it from pooling back on your edges. All right, so now what can I do? I want to do some clouds, and I'm checking my time here. I'm going to do about 4 more minutes. I want to do some clouds, and I'm going to do them yellow because the sun is setting. So I'm going to take this yellow that I had. Be careful because I had those. I'm doing this so you can see it. You don't want to drip on top of your, I've got cords in the way. I don't want to drip, you don't want to drip on top of your painting, but I'm just adding some more water there. And those little undissolved crumbs, as you can see, will make streaks in your painting. So just have some water nearby. All right, so that's a little bit too much water, but I'm adding it so I can reconstitute that yellow. So I want it a little bit darker yellow. I have too much water in my brush, so I'm going to let some come out. And then I'm going to come back in, and I'm going to, that's too wet, but I'm doing it fast. I'm going to make an idea of clouds. Clouds that the sun, you know, the sun is setting on these clouds. So it's like reflecting. All right, I got a big chunk there. I don't want that in there. Take that out. Work fast while it's wet. All right, remember you can dab. All right, so I want to dab out some of those areas. If it's already started to dry, get some water on your paper towel, wet it just a little bit, and dab. Wow, look at there. You can dab in that and get some light in there. I'm doing my background first. I'm dabbing. So I'm doing like a subtractive and an additive motion in there. All right, I'm gonna leave that alone. Don't play with it too much. Okay, this should be dry a little bit, but not a lot. So if it's still damp and you need to go ahead and paint, like I need to go ahead and paint because I'm running out of time. So I'm gonna take one of my little brushes. I need to get one of these brushes. I want one of my thin red sables for my trees. I want a thin round, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. That means the barrel of the brush is round and the tip of the brush is round. It's not flat. So this would be, let me show you a flat. The one that I used, it's wet, I don't want to drip. All right, this is a flat brush. It's flat. It's rectangular on the edge. All right, a round brush is going to be like this. And they have different ones. They have like filbert. They have a whole bunch of different types of brushes. But rounds are good. Those long, skinny ones. The one I just had was too thick. I'm going to get one that was just like that, but thinner. I'm going to use that for my trees. And I'm going to hurry up. I'm just giving you some techniques, but I want you guys to look at those watercolor techniques. Go back to the video on watercolor techniques for Unit 1, Lesson 2. All right, I don't want my brush too wet. I need some green, fast. So I'm going to get this over here because I got a green already. Well, it's more like a teal. But I'm mixing fast because I'm going fast. I don't want my brush soaking wet because it's already damp here. I want enough water to pick up my color. That's going to be a teal, and I want to add, I don't know, there's a dirty green right here. I'm going to add some of that. I'm going to add some of this yellow in here to make like a forest green. All right, it's wet, but it's not wet enough because that paint was really dry. So I'm going to, now, I don't know if y'all can see that, but I'm going to add that in there. This is going to be damp on wet, not wet on wet, because I don't want it too wet because it's going to blur. All right, so I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to make some trees in here. Now, if this was totally dry, those edges would not bleed like that. That would be wet on dry, okay? But for the sake of time, I'm coming in here and I'm adding my trees. Okay. I'm adding my trunks, and then it's okay because they're disappearing into the distance. All right, and some of that ground, that red at the bottom can be more ground, and I can come back in with a darker color. Let me check my time. All right, I need to stop in like 1 minute. So real quick, I'm gonna take this same, just to show you just some tricks, same flat brush I had. I'm gonna get all the extra water I can. I'm gonna do a crazy color for the tops of my trees. I'm doing this non-traditional teal green. Okay, I'm gonna get some in there. I'm gonna load up my brush and get out extra water. I'm loading up my brush, getting out extra water, getting out extra water. I'm gonna take that flat brush that's rectangular and I'm gonna dap it. Y'all see that? It's all in the tricks. I got a rectangular brush and I'm making it look like there's trees. Okay? So now I'm going to use that real quick. I'm going to lay in a ground here and then we're out. So ground, I don't know. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be black. I need a brownish, purplish, I don't know, just crazy colors. Just add them all together. Just give me something dark. They say there's no true black in nature. So I'm just going to get a dark, that's too purpley. I'm just going to come in with something dark. I know you can't see that because I'm just going to come in with some dark. And I would have more time to do this, but, you know, we're running out of time. So that was like a very, very quick landscape. Super quick.